So we're in the process section now. Lisa is our presenter, Christina is our timekeeper, and I'm the process observer. So Lisa's going to give us an overview of her dilemma, and we have 5 minutes for this section.
Okay, so because we work in a complex system with many distractions, competing priorities, and orphan initiatives, there is often a gap between our big bet theories of action and our theories of use. So my dilemma, what I'm trying to solve for, is how do we leverage the new cohort structure to ensure we get to concrete actionable steps that close this gap?
All right, so now we're going to move into the clarifying question section. Christina, we have 5 minutes for this section. I'm going to remind us that clarifying questions are simple questions of fact. If Lisa has to stop and think about it, it's probably a probing question.
Okay, so Lisa, when you talk about orphan initiatives, do you mean at the district level or at the school level?
Both, probably some of both. Some of them are from the district, and some of the orphan initiatives we create at the school level.
Okay.
So Lisa, I was wondering, are we working under the assumption that our previous structure, the whole group network structure, didn't allow for us closing the gaps between a leader's theory of action and their theory of use in their schools?
Yes, that is the assumption because we did not focus on each leader's theory of action.
Lisa, when you talk about the big bet, how will you solve for all the other important dilemmas at the school level?
So Christina, that may be a probing question because it wasn't a simple statement of fact. I think Lisa's probably going to have to think about that. Can we save that for the probing question
You're
section?
right, that was a how question.
So we're now moving into the probing question section. Christina, would you put 7 minutes on the timer?
Yes, sure. Lisa, my question is, what assumptions are you making when you refer to theory of use?
What assumptions am I making about the theory of use? Let me think. The assumption that I'm making is that there's a gap. There's a gap between the theory of action and theory of use because most of us struggle with making our vision actionable in the classroom. My other assumption is that if I'm clear about my theory of use, I can commit myself to focusing on implementation, actionable items to close the gap between the theory of action and theory of use.
Thank you, that makes sense.
Yeah. And, so that makes me think, Lisa, have you considered how you will know if this new cohort structure is actually closing the gap in schools between their theory of action and their theory of use? In other words, what constitutes a good result in the classroom?
Well, a good result in the classroom would be that along with the theory of action, there would be evidence, quantifiable evidence in the teacher actions and student tasks in the classroom that align with the theory of action. The theory of action should be concrete and that the leader can name what the look-fors are that we would expect to see in every classroom. It's moving from a theory of action to one which is evident in practice and behaviors. In other words, as an IS, it becomes about show me. Show me that your theory of action is also your theory of use. Have you gone beyond the vision of your theory? And in your cohort groups, it becomes about show us.
All right, we're ready to move into the group discussion section. This is the section in which Christina and I will discuss with each other about the dilemma Lisa presented. In order, we want to define the issues more thoroughly and objectively. We're going to discuss what we heard, what we didn't hear, what questions this brings up for us, and what we might do if faced with a similar dilemma. I'm going to ask Lisa to back up about 2 to 3 feet so that Christina and I only have this discussion between the two of us. Lisa is only going to listen and take notes. Christina, will you put 10 minutes on the timer?
Sure. So, Ladon, I heard Lisa say that this new structure will bring peer-to-peer accountability to the work, push us to name and look for concrete empirical evidence of the theory of use. It will also allow us to adjust the theory of action as we do the work.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well. I thought Lisa did a really nice job in the probing question section, getting to those concrete pieces and the evidence base and that sort of thing. What the question, though, that it brought up to me was, in thinking back to the section in the book, I wonder if she's got enough ifs in there. In other words, I think about the theory of action. If we change the cohort structure, then our leaders will be able to focus on their independent theories of action and theories of use. And even the look-fors, you don't really point to what else we need to put in place. Like, just changing the cohort structure. If we change the cohort structure, and if we do this, and if we do this, and if we do this, then the leaders will be able to successfully change, make sure that their theory of action and theory of use are aligned.
That makes sense. The way I think about it is that if she does that, she will be able to dig into what it will actually take to make this a reality.
Yeah. I go back to the book and think about, if we're just saying, if we change the cohort structure, then the magic happens.
Yeah.
I'm afraid we may be missing some steps in there. Lisa may already have those, but it was something we didn't hear.
That's right. That makes sense.
All right, we're moving now into the final step in the protocol. It's the reflection piece. Lisa's going to rejoin the group to reflect on what she heard, what resonated with her, and what she's now thinking. Christina, would you add 4 minutes to the timer?
Yes. Yeah, so after listening to the two of you discuss my dilemma, what I'm really thinking about is, what else? What else do I need to do to make closing the gap between the theory of action and theory of use a reality? I'm now thinking that changing the network structure was really just step one. I need to go deeper with more if-then statements. So, for example, if we change the network structure, and if the role of the IS switches to plan deeply with leaders, and if we ensure that double loop learning occurs, and if my visits align with this work, then the new cohort structure will allow for the theory of action and theory of use to be the same.